Was there anything else from NXT that we need to get on real quick? Because
No. Nah, the Kalani Jordan promo. What do you think of the Kalani Jordan promo?
How can I say I don't care without making it sound like I just don't care?
Wow.
I don't. Well, no, like, okay, again, we've discussed this. This is what NXT does. Everyone who they see as a long-term gain for the company has to do a heel turn. We got to do a heel turn. And I couldn't with Kalani. Kalani's whole thing was like, I got tossed out a lot. Like, she wasn't speaking untruths about, like, she wasn't lying about the experiences on camera that she's been getting. Like, from a storyline perspective, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's just like the delivery was lacking. It's like, I'm trying to be a bad guy. And this is the thing where it's like, that's where I hope that she figures out what her heel voice sounds like. That is the only thing, because if you can't figure out what that voice sounds like, then it's not going to be authentic and it's not going to work. She's really good, like most people, at being the good guy. I mean, some people have punchable faces, so Ethan Page gets away with it. But like, there are some people who are just born to be a babyface. Sol Ruka's the other one who, if they're going to eventually turn her heel because they got to see what it looks like, then it's going to be tough. And this is another one where Kalani Jordan needs to have, she needs to figure out what that heel voice is before it works or it doesn't work. So first run, content was fine, delivery was lacking. Now, when it comes to her being the Knockouts Champion, I can't tell you I give a shit about TNA because they haven't given me a reason to give a shit about TNA, and I'm the one who covers it for the damn site. Like, the biggest news that they've had over the last week is this Latin America deal that we just clowned on and spent more time talking about other deals with Tubi than we did with whatever TNA is doing. So this isn't a problem with Kalani. It's a problem with TNA and presentation. So she's not going to be anywhere that I can watch her on TNA, but she's going to do a triple threat match at Gold Rush. It's going to be her, Jordan Grace, and Laying Lee. And again, I'm going to go on my rant for a second. Santino Marella being the serious, unserious person, sitting in his hotel room and God knows where because he's got an appearance somewhere else that he's doing, and he's just like, Jordan Grace, and it's like, nobody knows who that is because you're trying to do your bit and your audio is poor and you're trying to talk about Layin Lee, and like, no one knows who Layin Lee is because you're not enunciating, and therefore nobody knows who the fuck you're talking about when you're trying to make a knockouts match for the title, and like, you're trying to add some. It doesn't work. It's a stupid gimmick, but it gets over with people because, like, oh, I love Santino. He's so funny. It's like, okay, great. Enjoy. Have fun. Whatever. So yeah, the Kalani stuff is what it is. And until TNA comes back, they got open fight nights, and an open fight night is just a bunch of rehash matches that they have from, old tapings that haven't aired yet. Someone in our Discord pulled them up, and we're just like, these are the matches that haven't aired yet, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them. Why isn't open fight night being held at Turning Point? Why isn't the show being called Turning Point Open Fight Night? Because you have one night of television to set it up, an entire fucking show on November 13th, 14th, whatever it is, the Friday, and you're doing this thing instead. There's no reason for it. So no, Kalani's character needs to figure out her voice. Kalani as TNA champion means absolutely nothing right now because TNA is nothing right now. There's no reason to care about Kalani Jordan right now as a character.
Why do you hate Santino Marella?
Because he just isn't good at this. He's got one bit, and the bit is the stupid mispronouncing people's names. And he talks about it with Van Vliet. He's like, I did it once and they said, keep doing it. And now he's got to keep doing it because he's just like every other old ass wrestler. Well, not just old ass. Like, it's every wrestler. It's like, once you hit something, you got to do it for the rest of your life so that you don't have to take a bump. I get that. I respect that. But eventually you can change it up. Like, you don't need to be continuing doing this mispronunciation if you're going to be, quote unquote, the director of authority, GM position, serious person in TNA. If your character leader or your character GM is unserious, then your entire product is unserious. That doesn't work for me, brother. It's fucked. Pardon my French. Multiple times. I did swear multiple times.
So how do you really feel about Santino Marella?
He's fine. Listen, he lives in my neck, not my neck of the woods, but he lives outside of Toronto. So it's like cool. You know, I've been to his gym and watched shows at his gym. But other than that, it's like, it's fine.
All right. Yeah. I thought Kalani's promo was, yeah, the delivery was lacking, but maybe unexpected or expectedly so. First time doing like a heel promo like that. I thought her content was good. I was like, yeah, why do you cheer for these guys? These guys suck too. They should be booed as well. I thought the content was good. I think she'll get more comfortable on the mic. I'm not gonna judge her and be like, this whole thing's a failure because of one promo with her first time doing a live promo like this as a heel. I don't think anybody should judge her on that. I think Kalani has shown her work ethic and has shown her improvement in the ring and even as a babyface character to where I don't have a ton of doubts that she won't get better as a heel character. Look at Roxanne Perez. It was a little awkward as a heel at first, and now she's a fantastic heel as a member of Judgment Day. She's got all the little things down, the facial expressions. She's good promo and everything. Obviously, her ring work is good as well. I think Kalani will follow a similar path. So I'm not going to, excuse me as I lose my voice, I'm not going to judge her too harshly, or think this whole thing's a flop because of one promo that she is a actual development story out there. You know, like some of these wrestlers, they got years on the independent scene and everything. She's an actual development story. For her, this is development. And I think she will continue to develop.
Yeah, again, I don't fault her for doing this promo. Again, I think the content was fine. I thought that the delivery was lacking, but again, it's her first week doing it, so there is time to pick it up. Everything that I say is not an indictment on her. It is absolutely an indictment on TNA and the way that they've been completely lacking for the last month.
I like how you bury TNA off of this.
No, well, I'll bury TNA for other things too, but here we are.
I mean, I guess it's TNA's fault for not doing television. And is that your gripe here? Because, like, if anything, you should be happy that, at least the TNA title is getting on TV. Kalani could be like Mike Santana. Just have the title and find an interview with Mike Santana, because that's the only way you're going to hear him speak.
But that's the other thing. You've got Mike Santana, the TNA champion, who beat Trick Williams, and all of a sudden it's like, where's Mike Santana? Mike Santana has to get himself over as champion, who had this big moment, this catharsis of winning the title that has been denied of him for the last 6 to 8 months, really 1 year if you're really paying attention to Mike's time in TNA. And all of a sudden it's like, we're going dark for a month. All your momentum is gone. You can go defend the title somewhere else if you want, and that's about it. It's just Kalani being the TNA Knockouts champion has nothing to do with TNA and everything to do with the fact that she has a TNA title and has a WWE contract. They like her. They're going to use her. Her holding the belt means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So for TNA, yeah, I bury TNA because they have done nothing to show that the belt means anything. The performer means plenty. She's great. I think she has a huge upside. This is a great opportunity for her. I've talked about it on this show. The fact that she is the TNA Knockouts champion shows that they're going to put her in a position to lead a locker room in another company and be the person on top. What does that look like? And they'll get an idea. Instead, you got TNA went dark and we have an NXT person holding a TNA title, so we're going to use her.
Are they trying to make the belt mean something though by putting her on television? Again, it's a better position than Santana, and I love Santana. I'm glad he got the belt and everything, but he's nowhere. You don't know he's the champion anymore. It's been a month since he won the title. At least with Kalani, she's on TV. She's got the belt with her. She's turned heel. She's going to defend the title. I understand it's an NXT show, but she's going to defend the title on that show. At least the belt is featured with her.
Again, my problem is they have the belt, but they have no one to go after her for it. No one from TNA is on the show.
Li Yingli.
Laying Lee cutting a promo in a hotel room saying that's not going to work for me, sister, is not a build. Jordan Grace getting a knockouts title match because she worked for TNA and she's friends with Santino is not good on TNA. If you had Laying Lee show up and actually confront this woman last week or this week, it would have been different. But instead, it's, Laying Lee wants title shot. She called you out, so open fight night, but not an open fight night because we already taped that show. Instead, her open fight will be at Gold Rush, the NXT show instead, because we don't have a show to give you.
I think
like Henry's saying, the belt may as well be part of NXT.
Sure, but it's a TNA title right now, and it's on NXT. Yes, but
where's TNA?
Well, this is a TNA problem that they went dark for a few weeks, but I will give them a little bit of credit of the fact that at least they're still trying with the Knockouts title and that Kalani, and I understand WWE has a hand in what is being booked here, but at least with Kalani holding the title, they're getting something out there. There's nothing else getting out there with TNA right now. Again, Santana, nothing. The Hardys showed up and lost the NXT titles after they went dark, after they beat the Dudleys. Who else? Leon Slater shows up for a couple of shots. Like, all right, at least he's... Yeah, but at least he's, again, there, and it's like, oh, yeah, Leon Slater. I'm not saying this is, like, great, by the way, because I don't think TNA should have gone dark. But I will also give them a little bit of credit that at least they're doing something to get some talent out there. Because if they weren't dark, then, or, being dark, if they weren't doing this, they'd have nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But all that they're doing here is putting former WWE talent who are working in TNA on WWE again, or they're bringing in talent that they intend to sign when their TNA deals are up. Yes. And this is, again, something you and I have talked about ad nauseum when they announced this deal. It was the concept that WWE gets a free look and a free opportunity to bring in and use people that they think would be better for their roster. Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry, Leon Slater now, the list goes on. And then meanwhile, what we've seen is when it started with TNA, it was WWE and NXT, they're going to send some of the greener talent over to NXT, or to TNA rather, so that they could work a style that is close enough to NXT that it's not going to throw them off, but it's also going to be a taped environment, so we know that they can make mistakes and it won't look bad on them in the long term. So that's the way it started, and now it's turned into, now when we want any TNA talent that's not people we want on the show, it's going to be people we used to have on our programming because the IP or the related,
that's
whatever,
the only people in TNA. So.
People. But like, again, this is part of the problem, is that you have other people who work for TNA who have not been in the WWE system. Like, you brought in Santana, you brought in Kazarian, you brought in some people, but you brought him in for a one shot to do a singular thing, and then you never spoke to them again. Macklin, again, is still the international champion. You haven't brought him in. You haven't brought in Santana since he won the belt. You got a Gold Rush tournament or show, whatever, for 2 weeks. If he doesn't show up for that, then I got more questions than answers here.
They brought in Leon Slater. He doesn't have any WWE background. They put Leon Slater on the last pay-per-view.
Yeah, because they want it. Because they want to.
They probably want to sign Santana too.
I mean, we're biased, but yes, Santana is someone you should want in your show. But I don't know if I don't know what his situation is. I don't know if he's planning to resign. I don't know what he'd like to do. I can't tell you because
they brought in Moose. Moose doesn't have WWE ties.
No, Moose does have WWE ties because once upon a time they gave him a tryout and they wanted to sign him, but things fell through. You know that. Okay,
but he doesn't have WWE television experience. That's a whole lot different than the other people you have mentioned. No one knows Moose from WWE television.
No, they know him from Ring of Honor. I think Moose was also kind of a... Jordan, who was it? Jordan was doing the interview with Sean and said,
Jordan.
Yeah, and he was like, Moose won't shut the fuck up about coming and doing this. I wouldn't be surprised. And listen, if it's true, good on Moose. If Moose was just blowing up phones, being like, get me on the show, get me on the show. Also, Moose is the franchise player of TNA. Like, he signed a 5-year deal in a company that does not have 5-year deals to give out. there was clearly like, we got to get our value out of Moose. So there is like, the Moose thing is weird because yes, he's not known to WWE, but he's also one of those like, oh, we pay him more than anyone else. We should probably do something to show him that we care. And that's it with Moose.
Okay, but you can't now change the narrative out here of like they don't use anybody who didn't have previous WWE experience. And then I named 5 or 6 people that didn't have previous WWE experience that they have used.
So what do they do with Moose? They had him up against Obafemi in that title match, right?
Yeah.
The X Division, yeah, and that was so that we can get Obafemi looking even bigger, beating a big dude like Moose.
And he was part of the Not Invasion show.
Yeah, the non-invasion show doesn't count because that was a fever dream.
Okay.
Come on, you know it was. You can't tell me that it mattered. It didn't matter.
I don't think anything in wrestling matters.
Oh, that's fair, but I mean, that is fair. Hold on, I gotta look up the showdown results because first of all, the show didn't matter, but also who were on the teams. For the men, it was Santana, Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. It's 2 guys that they'd like to sign. 1 guy who's been on the company forever, and Moose, who's also been with TNA forever.
But all people that have no from WWE ties. Even Joe Hendry. I know Joe Hendry's practically a WWE guy at this point, but Joe Hendry was not a WWE guy before all of this. And
no,
he was being...
Again, but this is going back to what we just talked about. It's a free look at people that they wanted to sign, and that's what they were doing. They were cherry picking who they wanted. Some people, yes, I will concede that there are some people like Frankie Kazarian who didn't come in the same way. Kazarian's also been in the business for 20 plus years, and as a result, knows a ton of people and probably got in because they trusted him. And that's why they put the stupid international title on him for that one match, because they didn't want to have them. I don't even know what it was. They wanted the blue belt on TV, but they didn't want Macklin there for whatever reason. I don't know what the story is, but they got Kazarian. Frankie's been around forever, so I see why they take Frankie. Moose, we just went through this. We know why with Moose. On the women's side, we talked about this. It was
their whole women's roster is former WWE talent. So
much of the TNA Knockouts roster is currently former WWE talent.
But the first person was not, and we know what happened there, but they were featuring her. She was being used. It looked like that was probably another deal of, we want to get a look. We might want to sign her. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We knew this was what was going to happen when they did the partnership. We talked about it at the time. It was probably going to happen.
So the crux of the conversation right now is kind of shifted, because originally it was Kalani Jordan.
I don't even remember where the crux started.
With Kalani Jordan turning heel, doing the promo, and how the TNA title is there, but there's no TNA to really speak of because they're dark. It's the only title that currently exists, but the company doesn't truly exist right now. So as a result, she's getting matches against people who used to work for the company, who currently work for TNA, or used to work for WWE in the case of Lang Lee. And that is just this big roundabout way of saying the TNA Knockouts title doesn't matter right now. When they come back and when they get into Turning Point and all that stuff, if there's truly a show to be had, then I'm going to reassess this conversation, because clearly they have nothing going until November 13th, when they do Live Impact, Turning Point, and then they do the TV tapings, and they get back rolling, and maybe we'll even find out where Genesis will be and what date it will be on. Like, TNA is such a weird spot right now, because while I appreciate having a month off of doing a Thursday night show, I don't like losing money and not being able to work on a Thursday night when I would normally get paid a separate rate from what I do for this show. Peel the curtain back. One show I get paid for in lump, and one show I get paid for per appearance. Guess which one is per appearance, folks? It's the one I'm not doing right now. So, like, I'm sure Sean doesn't mind that, but I mind not getting paid. On the other hand, I like I said, I like having the time off, but TNA isn't really making me excited to get back to work next week. They're just doing shit. That's how it's felt. They're just doing shit.
Well, that's been their whole existence outside of like a year.
23 years of just doing shit. That's going to be their 24th anniversary show. Just doing shit.
Here's my point of this whole thing. Look, TNA going dark for 4 weeks after their biggest show of the year is dumb as hell. That is on them. That's dumb as hell. Where I disagree with Joel is him saying the TNA Knockouts title doesn't mean anything when that is the only title that actually means something right now, because it's the only title that has any type of television time and any type of visibility for TNA. You want to say the world title doesn't mean anything? Yeah. You got to listen to a different interview, a different pod. You got to listen to a podcast to hear the world champion speak. The tag team titles, they were losing to Dark State. Stocks up. Listen to a podcast to hear the tag team, one half of the tag team champions speak. The X Division title, all right, Leon appeared on a couple shows. That was good, but there was no X Division title build. There was just to do tag team matches with Leon. Go watch an independent show, and you'll see the same thing with Leon, because he appears on a bunch of indie shows. He was just at Rev Pro this past week. Go watch that show. The international title, Joel is going to speak to Macklin more than you're going to see Steve Macklin featured on television. That is television.
My opening question, by the way.
At least the Knockouts title is being featured on television. Okay, it's only TV because it's held by an NXT person. So what? It is still on TV. It's been held by an NXT person for about over half the year at this point, because JC had it and now Kalani has it. Okay, it's being held by an NXT person. It doesn't mean they gotta put the title on television. It doesn't mean they gotta use Ying Lee in this spot. They could just do Kalani and Jordan. Even if they did that, at least it is on television. At least it is relevant for in the world of TNA, where literally nothing is relevant in the world of TNA right now. So that's where I disagree with Joel. I agree TNA going dark, bad. Their overall television hasn't been great. There's not a whole lot of good stuff about the product right now. But to say the Knockouts title doesn't matter. And look, if it doesn't matter to you, this stuff though on NXT doesn't matter to you, fine. Personal opinion, sure. But to say it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things in TNA, I disagree with, because it's the only thing that is relevant in the world of TNA right now.
But there's no TNA to speak of, so how can you get behind them? There's plenty more over on Fightful Overbooked. Click that subscribe button, tap that bell, get your notifications. And while you're at it, like the videos. Interact with them. Say some stuff. We want to hear from you. While you're at it, join us every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live for In the Weeds. You might like it.